It's already Halloween season, Kat. What are you going to wear? What are you going to dress up as? What, and vibrate and everything? No, that's just, I don't want. Yeah, Halloween's a bit more kid friendly than that. I know you're kind of elongated, like that's the kind of shape of your body, but I wouldn't dress up as that, Kat. What else do I suggest? Well, you can go as a hot dog. Just put a hot dog bun around you. You'll be fine. Hello everyone, welcome to episode 101. What are we doing today? If you watched the last episode, you would have seen the whole clickbait thumbnail, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do next. I don't know how to carry on. I think it was something like that. And then you lot clicked on it. I could just imagine you lot sitting there with your subscription feed and, let's see his channel fail, shall we? That's why you clicked. Cheers for clicking though, thanks. Anyway, in that episode, we decided, me and you all commented down below and you said I should sculpt a miniature of the loper, the interloper, that weird alien creature thing that I keep drawing in my sketchbook. You know the one that we talked about it. That's what I'm going to do. But it's not just as easy as that. I've never really sculpted a miniature like a 28mm. I mean, look at this guy. He's 28mm tall. I've got to sculpt something that small with green stuff. And I don't know if you've ever used green stuff before. It's not easy. It's like trying to sculpt with chewing gum. I'll figure it out. That's what this video is all for. You're going to watch me figure it out and see if I can actually sculpt something. And there's always the possibility that I might fail or sculpt something terrible and it might all go wrong. So all you hate watchers are going to love it. But that was old Bill. That was Cynical Bill. In the previous 100 episodes, it's 100 episodes of Cynical Bill. And this is the new optimistic, positive Bill. The boring Bill, basically. My art teacher at school called me Boring Billy because I called him Roland Rat because he looked like Roland Rat. But so he said, I'm going to come up with a name for you, Boring Billy. And it stuck. It stuck with me. Anyway, let's sculpt a miniature and then mould it and then cast it. If I have all the things I need to do that here in the workshop. I'm pretty sure I do. Somewhere. I'm going to cut away now because I'm pretty sure there's a nude scene in a second. So time to draw. I've already actually drawn the thing. If you've seen the last episode, you know exactly what I'm going to make. You all voted for the loper, that strange alien thing, as a miniature. I'm going to sculpt it, I'm going to mould it, I'm going to cast it. But I didn't feel like drawing it again. I've drawn it like so many times. It's one of those things that I just kept drawing over and over again in my book, like a strange silhouette that just looked interesting to me. Basically, it's this thing here. It looks almost like a Metroid, but with arms and legs, sort of, with a giant glowing eye in the middle. But the trick with this is, I've already got the silhouette sorted out. I know what it's going to look like, silhouette-wise. I know what the body shape's going to be like. I just don't know what the skin is going to be. I imagine these things are kind of bio-organic suits like Guyver, controlled by interdimensional beings, like haunted suits of armor walking around the waist. That's my thinking. So whether I make it all lumpy and veiny and creased or really super smooth, I'm not sure. It depends what fits the narrative. I imagine these suits are kind of grown in this dimension to be controlled from another dimension. So it would be kind of lumpy and veiny and viney, almost like a swamp thing. I don't know. Let's just see how I go with the sculpting. Anyway, drawing done. Let's sculpt something, shall we? Well, this episode is sponsored by, you guessed it, it's Squarespace. Squarespace is a really useful site to make websites. It's a site where you make websites. And if you're always hesitant about making a website, go to Squarespace and it is just really easy. Say you want to make a website about, I don't know, for example, a pickle. You want to make a website about pickles. We'll go to this template. There's already pickles on there. You just move them around. You change the text, change the font, do whatever you want. It's drag and drop. It's really easy. I even made this website here. This is thegutterlands.com. This is my website where I put all of my builds, stories about my builds and links to the videos. And look at that. I made a pretty nice website. It's so easy to do. If you would like to make a website, there's a link down below. You get 10% off using the code billmakingstuff. Goodbye. So it's time to sketch again. I'm only joking. We just did that. No, I need to make some sort of template. This guy is 28mm, I think. I think it's like from the feet to his eyes is about 28mm. And that's my guide. That's the kind of size I want to go for. I don't think I'm going to be able to sculpt anything that small. Get out of here. But that's how scale works. See, I'm going to sculpt something that's probably taller than a man. It's a creature. It's a being. He's taller than a human being. But my standard human being is 28mm, so I'll use that to kind of decide how tall this thing's going to be, and it will be in scale. Do you understand? You following? Sorry if I sound condescending. I'm normally talking to myself in a condescending tone, which is why it kind of sounds like I'm talking to... It doesn't matter, you know. Well, I'm a big-time YouTuber. I can talk to you however I like. That's not true. That's really not true. Anyway, this is going to be the armature for my sculpture, my miniature sculpture, and it's going to be essentially like a triangle with a little H underneath. I'm thinking that's going to give the miniature the best support. The only thing is, I really hate making armatures. I really hate it. But it's nice when you've got a little guide like this and some needle nose pliers. Now, obviously, everything's really small when you're making a 28mm character. So I'm using really fine armature wire, really thin. And this little cork I found on the beach. I'm going to use this as a base and like a handle that I can sculpt with. So I've cut out a little template, something I can kind of measure against, and I'm going to bend the wire along the lines, basically. I'm going to trace the lines with the wire. It sounds a lot easier than it is. It's actually a right pain. I can't stand doing it. It just doesn't seem to bend right. I mean, obviously it does eventually, but it just takes time, and you know me, I don't like spending time on anything. Anyway, I'm going to twist all of the wire because this armature wire is just far too thin. It's no good for anything. But if I twist it, it kind of... It's strong enough. It's strong enough to hold a miniature up. Well, we're kind of getting somewhere, aren't we? One thing I will say is leave plenty of arm length and leg length. This fella has long arms anyway, but usually, even if you're making a standard kind of human shape, you want there to be really long legs, really long arms. You can just cut it down later on, but you can never add wire. Well, you can, but it's just a big pain. So always make sure you've got extra long legs and arms. And if you have extremely long arms and legs in real life, then you know, I'm not saying we should cut those off. I'm saying, you know, everyone is entitled to have long arms and legs. You know, everyone's entitled to do. I just don't know what to say anymore, everyone. I just don't know what to say. I'm so out of touch. I'm currently looking at a 20-year-old and he's shaking his head. Sorry, I just don't know. Anyway, we have our armature wire done. That's the worst part for me. I hate making armatures. Did I say that already? Yeah, here we go. Basically, you want to stick the legs in the cork, and I like to glue it in there because it's annoying when it comes out, and glue some of the joins as well. Just make it extra strong. And I think that's about it. That's my armature done. That's the hardest part. It's not the hardest part. It's just the least fun part. I hate making armatures. It's like when you scratch build something, and once you get that silhouette done, it's all nice. It's all easy. It's not easy, but it's fun. Anyway, I want to bulk that out, so I think I'm going to use a little bit of tin foil or aluminium foil or aluminum foil. Just shiny magic paper. A little bit of tin foil goes really far, especially on a tiny miniature like this, but it's just handy. It's just really to bulk out certain areas, and you can just save your green stuff. You don't have to waste as much of your clay or your epoxy putty, your green stuff, whatever. Just bulk it out with tin foil. I'm going to add a few little shoulder kind of muscles, I guess. Just bulk out those shoulders at the back. I know that bit's going to be kind of hunched over, and a little bit of a spine, but you don't see any of that stuff in the end. Doesn't really matter. Let's sculpt the thing, shall we? Green stuff. We're going to be using green stuff, or more precisely, blue and yellow stuff, which you mix together to make green. There should be a competitor, like a little putty out there called yellow and blue stuff. I don't know. I mean, they could have done that. Anyway, I like to cut this little middle strip out here, just where the two putties join, because it always hardens. That doesn't matter how long you have the stuff. There's always little crumbly bits in there, so get rid of that, and then just mix the other two bits together. It takes forever. It does take forever. I mean, I think the stuff is old and it was kind of cold in the... I don't know, I'm sure there's ways of making it quicker, but you know what, we could just edit that stuff out, or use a bit of your dad's petroleum jelly. Vaseline. He calls it Vaseline, but it's not really Vaseline, it's petroleum jelly. That helps mix it. Yeah, thank you, Dad, for that. But honestly, no, this is taking way too long. We're just going to edit this bit out. There we go. It's green. Look, see? It's green. Tools. I have about 1,000 sculpting tools, but you don't need that many. I mean, some are like that are useful. It's the silicon sculpting tool. That's quite nice. I don't know if it's good for green stuff. This little gouge, this little loop thing, where you used to gouge things out, sounds pleasant. That's a really useful one. This is a dentist tool, I think, but it's just anything with a nice little sharp point on there. You can use that. I've got quite a few dentist tools actually in my sculpting drawer. That's a good place to look. This is a ball tool. I think it's called a ball tool. I don't know. It's basically you can just squeeze it into the thing and make like a little indentation like a ball. And this, I'm not sure what this is, but this is the tool I probably use the most. I don't know what it is. You can comment down below, tell me what type of tool this is, but it's the one I use the most. And you need a little brush. It's nice to have a little brush that you can use to dip in isopropyl alcohol to wash all those little fingerprints off. Plus it's got a little ball bit at the end. Look, that's the tools I'm going to be using, by the way. Thanks everyone. Always handy to have some isopropyl alcohol. I mean, this is one of the most used chemicals in my workshop. It's probably not a good thing, but it is. I use it to basically wash the fingerprints away when I'm sculpting stuff. It kind of dissolves the green stuff, makes it kind of more sticky if you need it to be more sticky. Vaseline makes it less sticky, and water, or isopropyl alcohol if you want it to be more sticky. But anyway, let's just start sticking bits of green stuff to it, shall we? When it comes to sculpting anything, I always like to basically roll up little balls of putty and make the muscles. I like to work with the muscles first. Same with drawing things, I think. You always start with the muscles, and everything that looks like He-Man or Arnold Schwarzenegger. Same thing, apparently. But honestly, yeah, just start with the muscles. If that's my tip for you. I'm not the best sculptor in the world, but you can always put a skin over the top. It gives you your general shape of the build. It gives you your silhouette, basically. And this alien thing, I mean, who knows what his muscles look like? Do you know what it looks like? Everything has muscles, even weird aliens. Even you might. I'm pretty sure you've got a muscle. That was not an innuendo, I swear it was not an innuendo. What I meant to say was that even tabletop wargamers and nerdy little sculptors have a muscle, you know, and it's the biggest muscle of all, a heart. They all have a heart. And possibly like a little tiny bicep. I don't know. I don't know you all very well. You might know me better than I know you. That's kind of how YouTube works. Technique here was basically just making doubles of everything, like making 2 little green balls and using each ball for each shoulder or for each little alien peck, you know. And now I'm making little sausages to make the face, the orifice at the face, and it kind of looks a bit. I did not intend for it to look like that. I'm not sure why it looks like that. That's not what the drawing. I mean, the drawing kind of looked like that, but it wasn't. But when I made it 3D, it kind of looks like... Anyway, let's move on. Doesn't matter. I'm just rolling flat pieces of green stuff around the arms and just bringing them to a point, because I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with those yet. It keeps looking at me. Yeah, it looks like that. It does look like that. But, you know, it's an alien, and it has little tiny butt cheeks, which is, you know, that's not such an alien quality, butt cheeks. But if you're going to be standing upright and walking, you need butt cheeks. That's just science. I'm not sure about the thing on his face, though. Anyway, I'm using a bit of isopropyl alcohol there just to smooth out some fingerprints, and I'm going to wait for it to harden. There we go, it's harder, it's cured. Best thing to do with green stuff is to not do all in one go. Just work on a little piece at a time, let it cure for a bit, go back and work on the next piece. My biggest come away from sculpting my first miniature with green stuff is you always mix way too much. You always mix way too much, and then you kind of quickly try and sculpt more than you can at a certain point, and you end up erasing all the details because you haven't given it enough time to cure. The best thing to do is to just work on like one section, an arm, a leg, an ear, a weird shaped face, you know, at a time. Let it cure, let it harden, so then next time you kind of play around with the thing and you move it around, you don't sort of erase the sculpting you've already done. I did that so many times. I learned the hard way. But that's my best tip for you if you're going to sculpt something using green stuff. But anyway, I've let this harden, and now I'm kind of making a skin that goes over the muscles, so we still kind of keep the shape of the muscles. And I'm also adding these little weird little lumps, these textures. I'm thinking that might be more fun to kind of paint in the end. I like texture and detail, and the best way to add detail is just to add a lot of something in little clusters, like between the muscles, for example, like that. It looks kind of strange, looks kind of alien. This is some sort of bio-organic suit thing, I think. I don't know. We'll think about that in story time with Bill later on. I tried using the silicone tools to smooth out green stuff. Green stuff is just too tough. It really is kind of tough to smooth. And I found this little metal tool. The tool I said earlier that I used a lot. This is basically the tool I used the whole time, just for making little holes for smoothing out muscles. Someone tell me what this tool is called. That little weird thing at the end. I don't know what it's called. I could probably look it up, but I'm busy narrating a video. That's looking alright so far. I think, look, when in doubt, just add texture, add more texture. That's kind of my thinking here. This, first miniature I've ever sculpted, I'm going to be adding lots of texture. Plus, it's some weird alien. It can be as textured and as strange, with a big, giant, gaping, strange face, as much as it likes, because it's an alien. I tried doing some little rib cage thing here. It didn't really work out. It worked out okay. It looked kind of just like a crease in a shirt, but maybe it'll look alright later. And same thing under the armpits. I'm just thinking of all those little areas where that ink, a bit of speed paint's just going to run into and make the thing look a lot more detailed than it is. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But anyway, I kind of want to add some holes, and I couldn't figure out a good way of doing it. So I've got this little drill thing. I've used the drill before, not this one. This is my new one. This is kind of like a little electric drill thing. Well, that's what it is. But it comes with all these little accessories. Not sponsored. Someone just used this on my Discord, and I thought, that looks cool. I want to get one of those. And I did. Because I'm a big time YouTuber. Obviously. No, it's actually a really cool tool. I'll put a link down in the description with the rest of the affiliate links, because it's actually a pretty good little handheld Dremel thing. Now, this weird biomechanical suit thing, it has to look alien. It has to look like an alien suit, which is why it's organic, because organic things kind of look alien to us. But I kind of want it to look like it has some sort of mechanism. So I'm thinking some perfectly round holes in strategic places will look like it's kind of a part machine. You know what I mean? Like Guyver. Like Guyver's. I'm pretty sure there's little holes randomly on that suit that looks like it's kind of mechanical. And it's also biological at the same time. That's my thinking. I've had a few comments saying I should clean my lens. I have tried cleaning my lens. You can probably see those little smudges, but they are actually, I think that's some resin that's splashed up onto my lens and I can't wash it off. Just in case you're interested. I'm not sure why I'm telling you that now. It's just, I think it's because I'm sitting here looking at the edit and I can see these big dark splodges on the lens, and it seems quite obvious to me. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're going to make some veins. I'm not really sure how to detail these arms and legs, because they're quite fiddly. I'm going to add some veins going up and down it. I think that might look a bit like Swamp Thing, but that's not a bad thing. Still organic, mechanical. You know what I mean? Because it's green, it's always going to look like Swamp Thing. Now, the edit made that look really easy. It was actually really difficult getting those veins on. I had to kind of brush the arms with some isopropyl alcohol, because that kind of makes it a little bit more sticky. When green stuff cures slightly, it doesn't want to stick to itself. It just keeps coming off onto your fingers. So a little bit of isopropyl alcohol will make your green stuff sticky again. I'm so full of tips today. You're welcome. And there we are. That's the top half done, and the arms looking pretty good. Maybe we should just do the same thing for the legs. I really want to puff out those butt cheeks, make it a bit, they're looking a bit flat. It's like it's been on that Manjaro weight loss injections. It just doesn't look very good. Couple of little crease lines there on the back of the legs, like it's some sort of muscle. Now, my thinking with this is that I'm gonna cast these, I'm gonna mold these and cast these, and I'm gonna paint them, and I kind of want something fun to paint. That's my thinking. Lots of little ridges for highlighting, lots of places for inks and speed paints to like soak into. That's my thinking, and That's kind of, I mean, I could make little ammo pouches or little rucksacks, you know, the things that people hate painting. I hate painting little rucksacks and pouches. I like painting organic, which is lucky because I'd have no idea how to sculpt a little pouch. I don't know how people do it. I look at some of those old GW sculpts with green stuff, and it baffles me how people do things so small and so detailed. This is about the best I can do at the moment. This is the best I can do, and it's not even that small. It's you know, it's quite a bit. It's a bit of a bigature, to be honest. But you know, whatever. It's the best I can do. I just don't know how people do it. If you sculpt miniatures, really detailed miniatures, and you make, like, I don't know, human faces, things like that, let me know in the comments. Give me some tips. I do plan to do more of it. I want to get better at it, but just, you know, I'll just stick to weird orifice monsters at the moment. Hello again, me again, Bill again. Just me interrupting my own video. If you don't mind, I don't mind, Bill. Cheers, Bill. Thanks. Wow. I just want to tell you thank you for watching, and consider liking and subscribing and all that stuff, and clicking the bell and hyping up. It's like a new thing. I don't know what it is. If you enjoy these videos, you can like and subscribe and all that. That's really appreciated. But if you really, really like them, and you know, you say you saw me in a cafe or a pub and you say, I would like to, oh, there's Bill making stuff over there. Or is it Dan does? No, it's got to be Bill. Dan couldn't afford to drink at a place like this. And then you offer to buy me a drink. Well, just think about it like that. You know, offer to buy me a drink every month via Patreon. That sounds bad. That sounds like I spend all of the Patreon money on alcohol. That's not true at all, I swear. But no, if you like this channel and you'd like me to carry on, consider supporting me on Patreon. There's a link down below. We have Patreon challenges every month where you have to build something based around a word that I've come up with. Something very vague that you could basically build anything for. But it's fun and people do it. And I show the builds in future episodes. So if you'd like to have your build shown on an episode on a kind of medium-sized channel on YouTube, then join Patreon. But that's about it. I think that's it. There is something else. My merchandise store. I used to have merchandise. I used to sell through Spring Tees, I think it was called. And the quality wasn't good enough for me. The quality wasn't good at all. And I've decided to kind of shut that store down. I've started a new store on Fourth Wall, I believe it's called. I've looked up reviews. I've heard from other people. It's a much better store. So there's a whole new range of merchandise. And there's going to be a link down below. Go over there and buy some. If you want to buy some Bill Making Stuff merchandise, I don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. I don't. Whatever. The option's there. I'm going to try and design a few more t-shirts. There's sticker packs there, and there's even some Bill Making Stuff patches that you can get your mum to sew on your coolest jean jacket. We also have Gutterlands maps on there on the merchandise store. Go to the merchandise store. Link down below. This has been a very long segment. The green stuff's probably cured by now. No, it's not. I'll just sit here then for a bit. Time to mould. Now, Green Stuff World sent me a big box full of all goodies. I'm not sure why exactly, but they did, and it was very kind. And this is one of the things they sent in the box. It's like a reusable mould. You just stick it in the microwave, melt it, pour it on your thing, and make a mould. We're going to try it out today. And they also sent me this acrylic resin powder. I'm not sure if it's for casting miniatures, but it's the only resin I have to hand, and I'm going to try this to cast a miniature. I've got a feeling it's going to be a mistake. But we'll try it anyway. I don't mind. We'll figure it out. Now, I've never made a mould. I'm going to try a one-part mould for a miniature. I hear that's kind of like kind of an easy way to start. So that's what I'm going to do. I've made moulds where you just kind of push fit moulds and for bits, kit parts and stuff. But this is a mould for a miniature. Now I need little vents for the air to escape, and for little places for the resin to pour in. Now if you imagine the miniature is going to be upside down when you mould it and you cast it, that's kind of what I'm thinking. The air can travel up through those little things. That's what I'm thinking. I'm not sure why I bothered with this. I could have just stuck that bit of wood. Anyway, we'll see if this works, and then I can always just adjust it later. Imagine the air is just going to go up through there and the liquid will come down there. I don't know. I kind of like the idea of potting Loper on this little sprue here, like an old Games Workshop model. Whether it comes out or not, I don't know. You know it's there. You've seen it. So this is the easiest mould kind of technique I could find online for moulding a mini. I decided to stick it to a little poker chip, something for it to rest on as it sits at the bottom of the cup. A bit of hot glue to keep it down there. And you stick it down there, and then basically you just pour your mold stuff, your silicone mold liquid, all over the top of it, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go take this to the microwave now. Apparently it's got a nice lemony scent. I love lemon. Lemony. So it says it doesn't take long at all. Oh, there we go, it's already done. That didn't take long at all. No, honestly, it takes about 10-20 seconds just to heat up a little bit of it, and you just pour it in. It was actually, if it takes the detail well, this is a pretty good product. We don't know yet. We're going to find out. It really didn't take long to cure. It just had to kind of cool down to room temperature. I think I stuck it in the fridge for a little while just to help it cure, but it's it's rock solid now. Not rock solid, flexible, but you know, solid. And let's figure out a way of cutting into it so I get that. What I was thinking while this stuff was curing is, how am I going to cut the mold so we get that little gap between the legs? I'm thinking I might have to cut all the way across. I've watched a few Robert Talone videos. I don't think he makes videos anymore, but if you want to know about moulding and casting, go watch his videos. His stuff's the best for that kind of thing. He said cut it in little jagged lines, so when it reseals it kind of locks into place, which is what I kind of try to do. There's the poker chip gone. Getting across the legs there, you know, that gap between the legs, that was the kind of hard thing to get my head around. But I finally did it, and well, here we go, we have a mould. Let's try and use some of this acrylic resin powder. This really isn't going to work. I'm pretty sure this is not going to work. It's 3 parts powder, 1 part water. It kind of looks like plaster. That's not a good thing. Maybe I didn't read the instructions properly. I just saw resin and I thought I could use this to cast my miniature. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't have any resin in the house, pouring resin. I only got UV resin, which is no good for this sort of kind of casting. So I might be a bit screwed. I'm going to have a proper dig in the cupboards. If this doesn't work, or it's hardened, look, that's cured. That's that's already come off. That's not looking good, is it? This definitely looks like plaster. Yes, it's. I don't think that's worked, has it? But look, we can kind of see some detail in there. It's like the mould kind of worked. There's some detail. We're just missing arms and legs. You know, that's all right for our first attempt. Let's clean this up. I'm going to cut it up and melt it back to its original shape in the little jar, that's quite cool. That's quite handy. I do recommend that stuff. That it was a good mold. Now I'm going to use some silicone and make a new mold. I think more of a permanent mold, because I know in theory it kind of works, and I know what I'm doing now. I don't know what I'm doing. I've got more of an idea of what I'm doing than I did 5 minutes ago. This is my cheapo silicone mold making kit that I got on Amazon a while ago. It's the last of my liquid. I just hope it's enough to fill the cup. If not, I'm going to cut up some of my old molds, not too much, just little bits, just to fill out the kind of volume of the thing. I'll show you what I mean in a second. So when it's not quite deep enough, just take your old silicone bits and just chuck them in there. And once the mould is cured, you're not going to know the difference. I learned that from Robert Talone as well. But there we go. Let's wait for that to cure. So after a day of panicking, I had no resin to pour into this mould. I found this cheap resin in my cupboard. The only thing is it takes 72 hours to cure. And I haven't got 72 hours. I can't add another like 3 days to my video schedule. So I've just tried to use it overnight and it's, you know, pull it out and see what it's like. The mould looks intact, looks pretty good. Now, considering it's cheap resin that hasn't even cured yet, it's looking okay. It's not looking too as bad as I thought it was going to look, to be honest. The only way we're going to know is if we prime it, paint it up, which is what I'm going to do right now. So here it is. I've primed it. I've given it a little bit of a zenithal prime. I'm going to give it a little dry brush to bring out the details. But anyway, it doesn't look too bad, does it? Considering I didn't use a vacuum to kind of draw the bubbles out of the resin and the silicone, it's not bad. It's, you know, the details are kind of there. Yeah, I'm going to paint it up, see if it looks any good. But anyway, that's enough of that. Paint time with Bill is boring time with Bill. Boring time with Bill is story time with Bill. Let's make up a tiny little story about this weird little alien miniature with a thingy face. It has a thingy for a face. Not in the story, it just looks like that. So the Lopers, or the Interlopers, but Lopers for short because everyone in Respite is so cool, you know. Basically, there are lots of stories of when people go out on adventures in the wastelands and they travel any distance away from Respite, they see strange lights in the sky and they see strange figures standing on hilltops watching them with a giant eye that glows in the night. And they've started to call these people the Lopers. Now, everyone in the Gutterlands seem to think these are aliens from another part of their universe, but really they're an alien species from another dimension, dimensional travel. They've kind of mastered that kind of travel, but they can't actually interact physically with anything in this dimension. But obviously they're an advanced species. They've come up with ways of interacting with things in other dimensions, and they create these suits, these bio-organic suits. They grow them and make them within the dimension they're going to travel to, which is why the suits look so kind of weird and disturbing. The glowing light inside is the actual being. They're essentially haunted suits of armour walking around the Gutterlands, you know, just observing things and sometimes even kidnapping things and taking things back to their dimension to see if they'll survive, and just manipulating things in a certain, you know, in a kind of alien way. Now, we don't know if they're malicious or they're violent or, you know, they're bad guys. We don't know yet. We just like, I feel like they're more above it. They're above everyone. They can do whatever they like, you know, kind of how aliens probably would be in real life. They're, you know, they're arrogant, above it. We're just ants to them, I guess, I suppose. People have tried to attack the Lopers. They've tried to get as close as they can to take him out, and they just end up falling to the ground and crying. They seem to have some sort of effect over people's mental state. But there you go. That's the Lopers so far. We'll probably get back to them in the future. So there we go, that was story time with Bill. Now, I've painted this thing kind of red, not realising that it makes it look very gory, but that wasn't my intention. I'm thinking these things can take on whatever colour they want. It just happened to be red. So that's it, that's the end of the episode. Now, between me painting a really bad cast of the miniature in that really cheap resin, I've actually bought some polyurethane resin, and I literally just cast one now. I'm going to see what it comes out like. It's kind of like a live reveal, even though this isn't live. This is, well, it's live for me. My whole life's live for me. Funny that. There's something very satisfying about just reproducing something you've already made perfectly. That's a really nice cast. That's a really nice cast. There's no bubbles. No bubbles. I'm happy. This is what I look like when I'm happy. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you liked it, comment down below. If you'd like me to sculpt maybe a scrap beast next, let me know. And these will be available somehow. I'll figure that out. I haven't figured it out yet, but I'll figure it out. I see you. It does look like a vagina. So there we have it, my first miniature ever sculpted in green stuff, moulded and casted, and I'm really happy. I'm really proud of it. Would you like one? Would you like one of these miniatures? Let me know down below. You can let me know that you got this far in the video and that you would like one of these miniatures by saying lady parts face. I mean, you're probably going to say that anyway.